Hello and welcome, my name's Ryan, I'm also known as Rm2kdev's. Welcome to this video. This is going to be a behind the scenes sort of video about how I edit my videos and what the process is for getting them from the 3DS into the actual editing software and the shrouds that I've created around that. So I'm just going to show you guys, first of all, my Pokemon Alpha Sapphire series that I'm working on. And if I jump down to, I've already set a few of these up, but I'm up to 18, so I'm going to go over and do number 19 now. So what I get from my capture device is a video that looks like this. Hello and welcome. My name's Ryan. I'm also known as Rm2kdev's. And you might hear me talking in the background there, but as I skip through, you'll see that this is one video file. Now I need to split this into two videos, one for the top screen and one for the bottom screen, so that they can be positioned individually inside my editing software. Now I use Adobe Creative Cloud. I'm a subscriber of the 2014 edition. And I've created a couple of presets here. Some use the NVEC, so the NV encoder, which is the GPU accelerated, but for now I'm just using the H.264 inbuilt ones. And the presets, basically, I've created a group and I've got two presets inside that group, bottom screen and top screen. So what I do is I take my footage and I drag it onto this group, and what I get is a new entry inside of my, oh, actually, I forgot to name that file. Let me delete that. I also name my files very obsessively, so I'd call this one E19 source. Because it's the source where the files come from. So I just drag that into my media encoder onto that preset group, and I'll get two presets, one for the bottom screen and one for the top screen. Then what I do is I take the path and I just set it up as this E19 bottom, because that's going to be the bottom screen, and also, excuse me, E19 top is going to be the top screen. So what I'll end up with is a bottom screen and a top screen for episode 19 along with the source. Now to show you these presets really quickly, so the bottom screen, what I do is, if you look in the top here, I've got some crop settings which basically pick out the 640 by 480 bottom screen, and it exports it as a 60 frames per second, just a standard video file, 12 megabit per second variable bitrate. So that's the bottom screen, and I've got the same sort of preset for my top screen over here, which just plucks out the top screen, and it also puts it into a video file which is 800 by 480 in pixel size. Sometimes I bump this up to, depending on what I'm doing, I'll lock these and I'll change this to 1600, which it actually should be. There we go, 1600 by, you know what, I've done something wrong here. Let me just go back to, that was top screen. So what I need to do is I need to edit my top screen preset here, because that should be 1600 by 960. There we go, 1600 by 960. That makes it twice the resolution because my template is a 2x resolution. And so if I have a look at my top screen now, you'll see that that is 1600 by 960. So then what I do is I finish batching all of these up into my software, and I'll click the play button and I'll let this run for an hour or so as it does all of these renders, and then I'll show you guys what happens after that. So I'm going to speed the video up now while I create the rest of these, and then I'll get back to you when I'm done. Okay, so once I have all of the presets loaded in and the output folders set up correctly, what I do is then I hit the play button and let all of these run through. So what I'll do is I'll just encode this one here, and that way I can show you basically what happens. So if I just right click on this one, and actually I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll right click on all of these to this one here, and I'll just click skip for now. There we go. So it won't encode those ones. It'll just encode the first one here, which is episode 15, which is the episode that I'm currently working on right now. So then what I do is I hit the play button, and you'll see I get two encode windows down here. These don't take very long at all. They take about, the bottom screen takes about 5 minutes, and the top screen usually takes about 6 minutes. It's taking a bit long because I've got the screen capture software running at the moment. So what I'll do is I'll stop the screen capture software and I'll get back to you when this is done. Also, something fairly efficient that you'll see is happening here is when you have presets set up in a group like I do, so one video has two outputs. Adobe Media Encoder is fairly smart in the way it handles that. It basically encodes one frame and does the cropping and the setting this video file at the same time, which effectively doubles rendering speed, because you're only processing the source video file once instead of twice for each input output. So I'll pause the video and I'll catch you guys in just a second when this is done. Okay, and I'm back, and episode 15 has completed its rendering cycle now. So that, I think the total time that took was about 10 minutes, but I did have the recording software still running, so it was just paused. I suppose that had a bit of an impact on my system. So once the renders are done, I end up with a folder like this, E15 top, E15 bottom, the two files that I named, and also the source file, which should be named E15 source, but it wasn't. And basically, if I open one of these up, you'll have a look. And this is what we have. Now there is 2 channels of audio, but the rendering process on the Adobe Media Encoder strips out the second channel of audio, so that's why I have to keep the source file, because the source file has both channels. It has both the game music and it also has my commentary. Now the reason I've made the top, if I open this one with VLC, the top screen is actually twice the size that it should be, and the bottom screen is I think that's 1:1, or it might be doubled up as well, but that doesn't matter. Basically what we're trying to do here is get the source file to be double the size that it should be. The reason we do double is because if we scale the video in Adobe Premiere, which is the software I use for editing, it applies a bilinear smoothing algorithm to the source file, and basically what you end up with is it starts to look like it's been smoothed out, which doesn't look very good. So I'll show you my 3ds template, and it's just something I whipped up in Photoshop. Next, here we go. I'm missing some fonts, that's fine, don't resolve. So basically what I get is I've got these were videos, I imported them into the system, I just added a color overlay. But basically the bottom screen is 50% size and the top screen is 200% the size of a 3ds video. The entire canvas size is 1920 by 1080, so this is a full HD size picture. I've also got this background image. I can just replace this with whatever I like and I'll end up with a nice layout, as you can see if I show you my other 3ds video projects. Whoops. So that would be on media, 3ds template. So I've got a couple here. I've got like my Fantasy Life template, my Super Mario Bros template, Alpha Sapphire. This is my original one and this is my new one. The Omega Ruby, and then also Theta Rhythm and Fantasy Life. So these are some games that I'm going to be playing in the future. I've just created some shrouds for, but basically all you have to do is change the background image and the layout updates accordingly, and it looks good. So, but the problem with the old layout is that the scaling was 360%, which isn't a perfect doubling. So the pixels would be, how to say it, they would end up with an anti-aliasing algorithm applied because you didn't scale the video twofold. You scaled it by like 1.6% and it ended up having a smoothing algorithm applied to it because you can't have like 1.5 pixels on a screen. It just doesn't have that. So then what I do is once I've got those source files, I pop over into Adobe Premiere. This is my editing software of choice. I prefer this software mostly to all the other softwares I've used. And I've got all my media down here in the media bin on the left. And if I just open up the episode, I should have episode 14 somewhere, but it looks like it's missing. That's fine. I'll open up my sequence for episode 13. Here it is. And what I basically have is I've got this, I'll turn all the layers off. So I've got that background image, basically it sits there. Then I have the top video and I've positioned it, if you have a look at my position settings, I've got it positioned at 0:0 with 100% scale, and that's why we doubled it. We doubled the resolution of this video in Adobe Media Encoder, because that way we get each pixel becomes 2 pixels rather than scaling it in Adobe Premiere Pro to 200%, which applies the bilinear smoothing algorithm to it, which makes it not look so sharp. It looks a little bit blurry. And same for the bottom screen. So the bottom screen has just been placed at 1600 by 840. And it's 100% scale. So what I usually do to get started with one of these videos, as I've already created this template, is I take a sequence that already exists. In this case, it is number 13. So I'll copy and I paste it, and then I just rename it to number 14 because I'm going to be working on episode 14. There we go. There it is. And I open that up in my timeline over here. Then I go into my folder of captures and renders. So number 14. Oops, episode 14, here it is. And I've also got this events.txt file, which basically outlines any events in the video, which I captured using some software that I wrote called video tags, which I'll open up here. So I developed this little piece of software which basically, if I set some hotkeys, start will be F1, and then I'll say stop is F2, and then I'll say log event is going to be numpad 3. So basically, when I'm recording a gameplay, I can press F1, and I set my recording software's hotkey to be the same. So I go bang, and then the recording software will start, and video tags will start, and you see the counter increasing here. And then if I cough during the video, or if I make a noise, or my chair squeaks, or there's something that needs editing, all I have to do is silently press the number 3 button on my number pad, and you don't hear it through the microphone because it's just a key press. And it basically puts a timestamp down, and then when the recording finishes, I press the end button, and it will keep a log of all the events that happen during the video that need to be taken care of in post-production. Then I can just save that log, and what I do is I save it into the folder as a file called events.txt. So back in Adobe Premiere, we've got this episode 14. What I do then is I bring in my 3 video files. I'll just bring those over here like that. They appear in my media bin. Then to swap the footage out without messing around with settings and things like that, I just click on the top one in both the media bin and the timeline, and then I right click on it and I go replace with clip from bin, and that will replace it with the clip from the bin. Now there is a small issue with this one, and that is that the footage is that's right, because I recorded this one at half size. Yeah, so this one here needs to be scaled up to 200%. Because this isn't a video footage. This isn't, we rendered 15 at the correct settings. I didn't render 14 at the correct settings. But basically, we set that one up correctly. Then we go to episode 13 bottom, select the bottom one in the timeline, right click, replace with clip from bin, and that replaces it here. And this one needs to be set at 50% because it's half size. There we go. So now you'll see we've got the half size and the full size one. Now we've got 2 tracks of audio, which is going to be game music and narration. So if I right click this one and I go replace with clip from bin, but I have to select the source file this time because that has the 2 tracks of audio, replace from bin. So now I get the audio from episode 14. Then I do the same with my narration, replace with clip from bin. Now the problem here is that these are both the same. So I have to set the audio channels on the second track to be clip to left, left, and I use left, left because my microphone is mono and doesn't come in 2 tracks of stereo, so it only comes in 1 track of audio. Now if I play back some of this, you'll see it's in perfect time. I think we fought all these people. Yeah, we did. Of course we did. There we go. Of course we did. I fight everyone in Pokemon games until I get bored. So that's all in perfect time, but you'll notice the length of the video is too long. So we get to this point here and it just cuts off because that's where it ends. So what I do is I select all the clips and I just drag them to somewhere before it ends, and then I stretch them out, and it won't let you go any further than the video file actually goes. So that sets up the lengths correctly, and then you'll hear me say goodbye, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. And just remember one more thing. Oh, round berries. That's a funny bit from the episode 14. Oh, round berries. You'll see that when that comes out. But basically, yeah. So now I've got all my videos in time. I've got a couple of events here in this audio section down here, so I'm just going to zoom in on those and I'm just going to delete them. I can't remember what the key is to delete these. Actually, if I right click on it, just go delete. There we go. Delete, delete, and delete. So that gets rid of all of those events that were already there because I must have had a cough in the old video. So now I've got my project set up correctly. I'm going to open up my events.txt file. I usually pull this onto my second screen, but I'll keep it here for now. So at 2 minutes and 58 seconds, there was an event. So what I'll do is I'll just scroll back to 2:58. Where's that? 2:56, it's close enough. And if I zoom right in, you'll probably see it. There it is. There's a cough there. So I've coughed during the gameplay, and I need to get rid of that. So I've lost where I was now. There it is. I need to get rid of that. So all I do is I just place a volume marker before it. I place 2 of them and 1 after it. And then I just take that middle section and drag it out. So now my audio is just nice and clear. Let's plant some more of those back. There we go. So we've taken care of one of the events in this video. The next event is at 4 minutes and 34 seconds. So if I just scroll over to 4:34, there it is. And I zoom in on that, you'll probably see looks like another cough. There it is. There it is. So I'll just put some volume markers before and after and then get rid of that and it will be gone. Oh, there's some sort of nose blowing sound there. I'll get rid of that as well. There we go. And what's this one here? There we go. You know what? I'll get rid of that as well. Why not? There we go. So I take all of those sounds out. I just mute them. That's why I use the event software, because I always have a cold, so my nose is always running and I'm always coughing. The picture, yeah. All right. So that's all of the bad sounds that have been taken out of the video. What I would then do is I would usually render the video out and watch the whole thing, just to make sure that there aren't any sounds that I've missed that I need to get out. The other thing I do is I have some audio processing that I apply to the video. So basically, the first track here in the audio mixer on the left is the game audio, and the second track here on the right is my voice, my narration. So what I do is I tend to take the audio of the game, I tend to take the game track audio down to about -15 decibels or dB, which basically allows my voice to come through. I guess he must have been on. And the other thing I do, because I have a fairly high-end microphone and high-end recording setup, is I apply some dynamics processing to my audio. Basically, a little bit of compression, just a little bit, to raise some of those silent sounds up. And I also, in compressing the audio, you're essentially lowering the overall volume of the track. So I make that back up with about 7 decibels of gain. And then I apply a limiter, because occasionally, depending on the dynamics of my voice, I might talk really loud or really soft. And in those times, if you're compressing the volume or the audio, you might actually start to clip. So I apply a limiter of -0.05 decibels. So it can never go above 0 dB, which basically means it will never distort on a viewer's PC. In the same way, though, when my volume, my narration is at a higher volume, like let's say it's approaching 0 dB, and I also have this game music on in the background, which is sitting around -3 dB, because I record everything at the highest volume possible to get the best quality. What can happen is the combination of my voice and the game's audio can send the overall volume of the track above 0 dB, which would create distortion. So I add another dynamics processor to the overall project. I apply a little bit of compression to sort of bring the game volume and my voice together, so that sort of glues them together a little bit, and then I apply a limiter overall on the entire track to make sure that it doesn't go over 0 decibels or 0 dB. If it did go over 0 dB, it would sound absolutely terrible. And I can probably demonstrate that if I turn the limiter off. Oh yeah, no, and turn it up.
I see what's going on here.
That's what it would sound like on your viewers' PCs if you did. They're just making it really obvious if you didn't limit the signal and didn't take care of making sure that you don't have any sounds going over 0 dB. So at this point, I'm quite happy with the video file. The only thing I'm not happy with is the fact that if I zoom right up on this is because I've used the wrong rendering settings in this one. So you can see this little green thing along the side of the video here.
We've come to the right map.
Just along the side of the video. That's because Adobe is applying this bilinear. Sorry, I have to cough. That's why I use video tags in my videos. That's because Adobe is applying this bilinear filtering, and pixel 00 and the edge pixel all around the video gets sort of blurred with nothing on the end, and it becomes half transparent. So what you start to see is the effects of the green background that I've placed here coming through the video. But if you have a look at one of my older projects, like say episode 13, where the footage was recorded correctly, or it was rendered correctly in post-production, you see that that doesn't come through the border. If I play this, the border doesn't come through. You do get this gray bar here, but that's just because Adobe Premiere's rendering it on the fly, and it needs to be actually rendered properly before it becomes correct. So let me turn those video tracks back on. There we go. On games. At this point, yeah, I would watch the whole video and make sure there aren't any rogue sounds, but I'm pretty happy with this one. I remember there wasn't anything. I've already watched this video outside of recording this, and there wasn't anything strange in here. So what I would then do is I would save my project, come back into, I would do all of these at once. So I would have 16, 17, 18, all the way up to 23 done in my editing software. And then I open up Media Encoder and I drag the sequence out of Premiere Pro. So I'll just grab the episode 14 sequence. You can just type SEQ up here and you get all of your sequences. So that was 13. Here's sequence 14. I drag that out into Media Encoder and I'll put that onto game 1080p 60 FPS, which is my preset setting for 1080p 60 frames per second. And it will then put a Premiere Project sequence number 14 inside of here. That defaults to rendering into my D drive onto the renders folder. Let me just make sure that's the correct folder. That's actually not the correct folder. It should go to E drive renders. Where's renders? There it is. And I'll save that in there with all of my other footage. And this is this preset that I'm using here is actually the NVIDIA NV encoder. So this is the NVEnc export, which is a bit of a hack that I've installed. It's on the forums, but it significantly speeds up your rendering time. Sorry, another cough sound. If I was using video tags, I would log that as an event and edit that out in post-production. But since this is behind the scenes footage, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you guys how it actually happens. 60 FPS, square pixels. This renders at maximum, a fairly high bit rate. I know it doesn't make sense to take these footages that were rendered at lower bit rates and render them at higher bit rates. But, however, I want the background image to be really sharp, and so I give it a high bit rate in general. Now, I used to render these clips here at much higher bit rates, but I found that 12 megabit works fairly well for these. So now that the settings are all good, I'll just close out of that. And so basically what you'd end up with here is you'd end up with 14, 15, 16, 17, and so on, all in this list. And then I just hit this play button and let this run overnight. My settings have changed because I formatted my computer recently. I need to set up my game 1080p 60 FPS. Part of this hack, you don't have any, you have to use third-party encoders, and they don't exist in the same location anymore. They are now under encoder narrow AAC encoder, and my MP4 box is under encoder GPAC MP4 box. There it is. Okay. Now if I reset the status of this file, it's not gonna let me do. There we go. It's already done. That should be ready. I just make sure that those settings have taken effect. Yes, now they're on the E drive. On my previous system, before I formatted the computer yesterday, those files were located under the D drive. And this will render, and this is using the GPU, so this is an extremely fast render. I'm recording the screen right now, and this is saying it's only going to take 6 minutes, less than 6 minutes, 5 minutes even. When I'm not recording the screen, the final render usually takes about 3 minutes on my machine. I'm using an NVIDIA GTX 980. It's 16 gig of RAM, and it's a Core i7 4770K. So it's a fairly high-end gaming machine. However, any NVIDIA graphics card that has the NVIDIA encoding chip on it, which is anything higher than a GTX 650 or a GTS 650, I can't remember what they call it now, an NVIDIA 600 series, 650 or higher, will have this NVIDIA encoding chip inside of it, and it's the same one that's on the GTX Titan, it's the same one that's on the 980, so you will experience the same rendering speeds if you install the NVIDIA encoder and use that for your final renders. So I'm going to pause the video here, and I'll get back to you guys when this is done. Okay, so the render has just completed. It took a total time, I think, of about 4 minutes 50, which is slightly faster than double time since it was an 11-minute video. And that now will appear inside of my renders folder. If I wait for that to finish loading, and then I can just open this up in VLC, we will have a quick listen and see what it looks like. On Alpha Sapphire, we just spoke to Mr. Devon. Is his name Devon? I don't know what his name was. And anyway, basically, long story short, he told us sorry, his name's not Devon. He told us we needed to go to Devon. No, I got that completely wrong. Let me start that again. So, as you can tell, I had quite a funny intro in that video, but basically, that is my recording process and my editing process. This is a 1920 by 1080 3DS gameplay footage, and you can see that the quality of the video that comes out of this is just amazing. I mean, this on even on YouTube, these videos look great. And the good thing about YouTube is it does apply a slight algorithm. I'm sure it's a scaling algorithm as it scales the video up and down, which applies just a little bit of anti-aliasing, a little bit of bilinear filtering. I'm not sure exactly what it is, and anisotropic or whatever it's called, filtering, which makes the videos just look even better as they go onto YouTube. So I hope this has been an interesting video and that you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please don't forget to leave it a like. This will be going up onto Patreon before it goes onto YouTube as a premium video, just as a bit of a behind the scenes for you guys, so you can see what my editing process is like. And also, if you're into the idea of editing Let's Play videos and regular videos, this is the same process I use for editing my tutorial videos as well. But yeah, if you're interested in doing that sort of stuff, these are my settings and this is how I do it. So this took me about 10 hours to design this process. This is obviously coming from a programmer who spends his time coming up with processes. So before I even begun starting to do Let's Play videos and recording videos, I sat down for a good 6 hours straight trying to figure out the best process to record these videos out, to get the highest quality output footage, to get the smallest file sizes. And you can see that this file is actually only 1.24 gigabytes for an 11-minute video. So that's 100 megabytes per minute, which is fairly good and pretty consistent with all my other videos. This one's slightly longer, but they're all sitting around about 1 gigabyte per video, and they're all about 10-15 minutes long. So fairly standard sizes for my videos. I tend to upload them, and we're on 100 meg fiber here, so uploading these videos to YouTube doesn't really take that much time. It's the middle of the day right now, so I'm not sure what YouTube's going to do, but let's have a quick look. I'll start the upload process and I'll tell you guys how long this is going to take. So I'll just drag that. I'll set it as private first. There we go. That was number 14, so that will just go straight onto YouTube like that. And that should begin its uploading process, and there's you go. Takes about, it depends on the day really, but it takes about 30-40 minutes for a 1 gig file, and because it's fiber, we can have multiple uploads going at the same time. So when I render 5 or 10 of these videos out in one day, I'll usually upload them at the same time, and they'll all take about 40 minutes at the same time simultaneously. Basically, to do that, I just open up another tab, and then I go upload again, and then I drag the video into this one, and then you can have 2 simultaneous uploads going, and then you just add more tabs as you want to upload. And because it's fiber, it really doesn't have a problem doing that. So yeah, like I said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I hope it's been helpful. If you're looking for any of these settings, just scroll back through the video and you can see my settings and my configuration. Yeah, don't forget to leave comments and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.